Section 1.3, homework problem number 16. So if you understand the previous homework problem, number 10, you will be able to understand the next this problem here. So the smallest whole number that is greater than 0 is 1. And pay attention to whole number, which means you don't have really any decimal places. And is there a smallest decimal that is greater than 0? So when you look at the number line, I mean, you don't have to draw the number line, but the number line will help you understand the question. So let's put a 0 here on the number line, and then we put the whole numbers first, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And notice that all the numbers to the right of 0, they're bigger than 0. So 1 is bigger than 0, 2 is bigger than 0, and so on. So the out of all these numbers that are bigger than 0, and all of them, and the smallest one is 1. So we can see 1 is the smallest whole number that is bigger than 0. But if we consider decimals, and any number to the right, we know any number to the right, they are bigger than 0. So if we look at all these numbers, and because now we not only we are not just considering the whole numbers, we have to consider the decimals. But there are, how many decimals are here? There are actually infinitely many, as you can see. We can always keep zooming in. For example, if you say, let's say 0.5 is bigger than 0, it's the smallest. But what about 0.4, right? So you may have 0.4, and if you may have 0.3 and a 0.2, and you can keep going. Even when you go all the way down to 0.0, when you go all the way down to 0.1, and you may think 0.1 is the smallest, but because 1 means 1/10, and we can divide 0.1 into 10 equal parts, which would generate another place value, which is the hundredths. So you may have 0.01. And when you think 0.01 is the smallest number to the right of 0, you could keep adding another decimal place, and that would get you 0.001. And then so you keep technically we can keep going forever. So when you have the tenths, you could have the hundredths. And after you have the hundredths, you can have the thousandths and the 10,000ths and 100,000ths and so on. So there's not, so you can keep dividing by 10 to generate smaller and smaller decimal numbers. And this will go on forever. You just keep adding 1 0 in front of that 1. And so there is no smallest decimal bigger than 1. Because you can, again, it's getting tiny and tiny. You get closer and closer to 0, but you can keep going by zooming in, because we cannot really do it forever with our pen. And but theoretically, you could keep zooming in and to generate big, smaller and smaller numbers. So that's why there's no smallest decimal number.